And our last reflection on peace is Dr. William Keepin, president of Satyana Institute and author of the book Belonging to God.
So good evening. Today is the United Nations Day for Peace. And Hans Kung said, there will be no peace among nations unless there's peace between religions. And one of our great challenges is to bridge the religious traditions of the world. And as we all know, there's a tremendous amount of conflict, religious conflict in the world, or religiously motivated conflict. And the religions have all these remarkable differences, but there is a greater and more profound, remarkable common ground across the traditions, which unifies them and roots them. And each religion is something like a tree in the forest. Some of them are tall and thin, some of them are round, some of them have leaves that fall off every year, others are evergreens, but they're all rooted in the same ground that draws from the same hidden waters. And they all reach up vertically, stretching up to the one supreme light above. And so it is with the religions. And part of our task is to discover this, and we do this by going into the inward essence of the religions, because all of the religions invite us on a transformative journey of the heart. And when we go on that journey, we find that across the traditions, the stages of that transformative journey are basically the same across the religions. And then we meet in the place of the unity of the heart. And the heart then bridges the divisions that the mind creates. And this is the process. Now, we hear a lot about this idea of becoming peace. It's very important. For example, Rumi said, if you're seeking for peace, then look inward rather than outward and remove the blocks to peace within you. So that's the first step. And as Michael beautifully said, we can all use some improvement in that arena. And then the second step is once we have removed these blocks, once we're in that process, then we must allow our hearts to be broken open by the pain of the world. And in that breaking open, our heart becomes an instrument for the transformation of the world. And that spiritual lifeblood flows through us, and we become part of the world healing itself. And this is really key. As Thich Nhat Hanh, the great Zen master, said so beautifully in relation to the earth, he said, what we most need to do is to hear within ourselves the sounds of the earth crying. And we can extend that to what we most need to do is to hear within ourselves the sounds of those who are in pain and suffering, to hear their pain and let it become part of our pain. In my own work, we do convene groups of women and men to go into the gender injustice. And I'll just give you one example where we had, in one of our intensive workshops in South Africa, we had a woman who had told a very wrenching story of being sexually violated. And afterwards, one of the men said, I don't know how to be a man anymore. I feel traumatized. And he was able to come into a recognition that he had taken into his own heart a pain that is normally carried by women only. And he now had not just this woman's pain, but all women's pain in that regard, now as part of his own pain. So his heart was now sharing in that burden. And in that shared burden, it transformed his very identity as a man. And it bridged him to the plight and the situation of women across the globe. And he now is one of our leading facilitators in this work. And so we all can go through this process of being transformed by that which breaks our heart into becoming a healing instrument. So that's the second step, is to really ask, what breaks my heart? And follow your heartbreak. And your heartbreak will then lead you to the place where you can become a healing instrument for peace in the world. Thank you very much.